What's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here. Thank you so much for tuning in to GSD Interviews. Before we jump into this interview, I want to give our sponsors a quick plug that make this show possible. So our first sponsor is our real estate software, www.perfectstormnow.com, the most affordable and effective lead generation software out there. This isn't just a website. Yeah, we've got a website. Yeah, we've got a blog feature. Yeah, we have testimonials and video client testimonials feature. We have community pages. We have all of the typical website stuff. Where we differentiate ourselves is on the lead generation. We teach you how to lead generate. This system is extremely effective with lead generation. We can teach you how to go out there and generate more leads than you can handle without spending a penny on lead generation, right? Not only, though, do we teach you how to lead generate, not only is it a great website, it's a coaching platform combined with software. So we have two monthly live training sessions that are 2 hours long with myself personally. So we teach you how to use the site, how to generate with the site, how to leverage the site. And it goes deeper than that. Okay, I'm getting all these leads. What do I do? What do I say? How do I convert these leads? So we go and train you and coach you on every aspect of that so you can go out there and dominate it in your business. You have access to me, my developers on a daily basis as a customer of ours. So it's $99 a month, no contracts, no registration fees. It's month to month, $99 a month. You can't beat it, right? So go check us out, www.perfectstormnow.com. Our next sponsor is my personal mentorship. You know, if you're ready to take your business, your life, your career to the next level, we've got my 90-day mastery boot camp, which is a mentorship with me personally. Every single week, it's 3 hours or 2 hours of live coaching and training with me, and then 1 hour of live Q&A. You have daily access to me and our private mastermind. We build out your playbook. Every aspect of the residential real estate business, from how to lead generate to how to lead follow-up to how to do your presentations to how to build out your database. We even start talking about how to grow a team, how to hire, how to fire. There's nothing that we do not cover inside that program. Then after the program's done, after the initial 12-week program's done, it's an ongoing platform. It's $50 a month where you have access to me for as long as you want. You know, right? And in that $50 a month program, you guys, I've made that where $50 a month is more powerful than a $1,000 a month coaching program that you can get anywhere else. So we do 4 hours of monthly coaching at $50 a month. So you get 4 hours of live coaching. We have 2 in-person masterminds here in Phoenix, Arizona. They're every 6 months. It's a private mastermind with me and only the alumni bootcamp members that are part of the mentorship. We don't bring in guest speakers. There's nothing to sell. There's none of that crap that we all get at all these other seminars that we go to. You usually go pay $500 to a seminar and they try to sell you a bunch of shit. That's not what this is. This is hardcore masterminding. This is a hardcore mentorship, mastermind, and growth program. So if you guys want to learn more about that, www.90daymastery.com. Hope to see you guys in the program. All right, let's jump on into the interview. Hopefully you enjoy this as much as I did. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. Every single week we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their space. These are people that are refusing to live a mediocre life, that are choosing to go out there, play big, and create the lives that they truly want and truly desire. So today, you guys, I'm really stoked and honored to have our guest on today. This is a guy that's really come from nothing. Really similar upbringing to myself. When I heard his story, I was like, I got to get this guy in the show. This guy came from nothing, so went out there and doing massive things at a very young age. So really stoked and honored to have Corey Gladwell on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, no, it's badass, dude. So, you know, like I said, man, I've been watching you for a while. I know what you're doing today. And before we get into what you're doing, man, because I know you've had it's been a hell of a journey to get where you are, dude. From nightclub owner to doing a lot of other businesses that you do now today. But let's rewind the clocks, man. Like, how did you get involved in entrepreneurship in the first place?
Dude, I don't know if it was just born into me or what, but I grew up on Section 8 welfare, and we had nothing when I was a kid. You know, we were very, very, very poor, and you know, when I was 3 years old, I tried to sell my first product. You know, my neighbor kid, I got a new toy, and I tried to sell it to him as an upsell, and you know, by the time I was 8, I hired my first employee. I had a couple kids run flyers for me, paid them $5 a piece, and you know, I just remember that feeling of not having enough when I was a kid, and I always wanted to get out of that. And I knew that business was the way to go to create that kind of freedom. So it's not been an easy path, but I just knew I had to get out of it. And I always I've owned 900 numbers. I've had, a little coffee stand when I was like 11. I mean, whatever you can think of, I've tried to get my hands on since I was a 3-year-old. So
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. So I'm gonna ask. I mean, a 3-year-old. I mean, that's one of those things where we probably really don't know cognitively what we're doing. But at 8 years old, you hire your first employee. Like, what was that about? Like, what was the business? What were you doing? Like, what were your thoughts at that time?
So my mom was a cleaning lady in an apartment complex. My dad was the maintenance man. And my mom knew the lady that leased the office buildings or the apartment complexes in the office there. And she asked me, she said, I'll pay you $20 if you run these flyers to all 200 of these apartments. And I thought, all right, I could do that, So I grabbed the flyers. I went and found 2 of my friends, Carl and Josh. And I said, listen, guys, I'll give you $5 if you run up and down these stairs and put these flyers on each door. And so they each took the $5. I kept 10, and I stood there and handed out flyers. That was my first employee-employer relationship.
Yeah, I love it, man. Learning leverage in early age, that's badass. So what I find, though, from a lot of entrepreneurs that we have on the show, they start at a young age, whether it may be delegating out a weed picking company or a lemonade stand, but then we get domesticated. We start going to school, we get domesticated through high school, and then we get sold this story. We've got to go to college, get a corporate job, and then they have this internal war going, and then eventually jump back into entrepreneurship. So what was that like, dude? You're doing all this at an early age. Did you take society's path with going to college and getting a job? Kind of walk us through that, high school, college.
High school, I did get a job. I worked at Sears selling electronics, big screens back when they were like $10,000 to buy a Sony. And then I worked at the movie theater, local movie theater here in Seattle. I did that. And then, the day I turned 18, actually, I got good grades in school, but I was never a school type. I could never really cut it out with the schedules and stayed in there. So I dropped out of high school and got right into real estate. Got my degree or my get her done degree, my GED, got right into real estate and started selling houses, and that was kind of my first experience of being, self-employed. But wasn't quite necessarily an entrepreneur at that point. I was more just there's a difference between self-employed and actual entrepreneur. And I think at that point I was still in the self-employed mindset where I wanted to make enough money just to, pay my bills and have some time off and not really build a business. So
what point did that switch flip for you, dude? Because I mean, what I realized with most quote unquote entrepreneurs is they're still running that same gamut, right? They're really solopreneurs. They are their own boss, but they're their only employee, and they kind of still are in that rat race. At what point did that click? And then when that clicked, what was the next step?
So when I was 22 years old, and I don't know who said it, so I can't quote them, but this wasn't me that said this, but someone said, if you have to show up to work tomorrow, you own a job, not a business. And that hit home for me because I realized I had to show up tomorrow. I didn't have a business. And this whole time I thought I owned a business. I didn't. I owned a job is really what it was. And so after that, I went on to, buy the restaurant in Seattle. And then 2 months later, I bought a nightclub. And, I knew I wanted to create a business and really own an actual business. And so by 23, I had the nightclub, the restaurant. I dabbled in owning a vodka brand for a little while. Just pretty much whatever I could get my hands on to create a real established business and slowly find a way to get myself out of it. And that was my first kind of taste of that mindset shift.
All right, dude. So that's epic, man. I mean, to be able to do that at such a young age is insane. But I mean, when I look at this, my question is, I guess my first thought that comes in my head is how did you gain the revenue? Right? Between 18 and 22, what was, real estate, your average realtor makes more money working at McDonald's than they do in the business. 90% of them are out of the business in the first couple of years. I got to hear the journey, dude, of what 18 to them buying the restaurant, buying the nightclub was, man. Because I think that's the gap most people are missing of, dude, how do you go from dropping out of high school to gain enough capital to do all this stuff and really start following those true dreams of yours?
Right. Well, the one thing that I think changed for me that helped me a lot was, relationships. I think relationships are the biggest key to success in life, whether it's personal or it's business, is having the right relationships and really maintaining those relationships. So, when I was 18, when I first got into real estate, I went around to every new construction site I could. I found every builder I could, and I connected with every builder. And that was really how I started, developing some kind of actual income with real estate, was connecting with new construction builders and becoming, first a site sales agent, and then I became a listing agent for the new construction builders because I got them results. So that was how I got my personal capital. And then the journey to actually getting to, the restaurant, nightclub, and all of that was different commercial agents that I met that would call me and say, hey, there's this business opportunity. There's this, for sale. There's this for sale. So when I got those opportunities, I kind of knew, because of the relationships I had, I knew before things were going to go on the market as far as new businesses. And I also connected with different investors. And so I was able to kind of tie those pieces together, get the investors to put up some capital, me put up some capital, and then get the business opportunities before they actually went on the market, and then really tie up all those things together. So it was a lot of like stretching myself pretty thin, but it really came down to having the right relationships to be able to build those things up, whether it's personal income or the business income.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. So are you still involved in real estate at all today, or did you just get the point? Okay, you are.
Yeah. Keller Williams, Marysville office. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Love it. So, because I grew up pretty poor as well. Grew up on food stamps and so like when I started making it, I'm like, dude, because I never had, like, when you're in that, I don't think it's being growing up poor that hinders us. It's that we don't have those early on mentors that really coach and teach us that next level. So I started making money, and I'm like, okay, Vegas every weekend, Mexico every weekend. And I'm 23 years old, making like $280,000 a year. I'm like, dude, it was just more than I could fathom. Like, what did you have a mentor at that time? Or how were you able to be so fiscally responsible at a young age, dude, where you could save that capital to reinvest that? Because at 22, I mean, you're so far beyond your years for most people at that age point. Like, did you have a mentor? Did something happen there that you learned that skill set at such an early age?
No, I never had a mentor. I had different people I looked up to, but I read a lot of books. That was my main thing. I read a lot of books. Every leader, and whether it's a thought leader or entrepreneur, Tony Robbins and everyone out there. I just read every book I could get my hands on, watched every interview. And I studied, I studied success and I studied mentors. And that really, I think, was what helped me to set things aside and to have a path of where I wanted to get to, was just studying. I still read like a book a week and just really study everything I can every morning. That's part of my daily success ritual, is like, I read something that I can put some positive thoughts in my head and really lay a foundation for my day, because I know someone's, like you just said, someone did it better than me. But when I got into, when I was 23 and I got into like the nightclub and the restaurant, when I started making really good money like that, I was the same thing. I went to Vegas every month, I went partied, and it was like, free for all. I brought all my friends and paid for all the drinks. And, it was like one of us made it out, you know what I mean? And that's part of what kind of turned sideways for me before I, reinvented and wrote the book and everything that happened. It was a lot of stress, because I had no money management skills, after that. I had no, like, what do you do, psychology of money, growing up poor and on welfare like that. There's a lot of like respect for money I didn't have, or like, my views on success, or my views on wealthy people, all those things I had to really shift and change, because those are really, traumatic to really, stopping me from having that kind of success. So
yeah, love it, man, love it. And before we get into the book, and I have so many follow-up questions for you, dude, but I want to keep going with the journey here, right? So you jump into the bar business, the restaurant business, and the bar business. Then you invest in this vodka company, and you're doing all this. Now you're doing something different. So, like, what were those transitions? How did you connect the dots? How did one lead to the next? And then let's talk about the transition that you're in today.
Yeah, so so the vodka thing kind of happened first, and then I got the restaurant, and then the state of Washington kind of told me you can't have a liquor license for both, because my idea was, right, I'm going to have my vodka in my bar, and they said, yeah, it's illegal, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, all the good ideas obviously are illegal, so I couldn't do that. So I had to get rid of the vodka company and, focused on the restaurant. Then I focused on just the nightclub, and slowly kind of weeded out, what was the highest priority, the highest volume return on investment. And, and I focused on the nightclub mainly for about 3 years. But what happened was, how I transitioned to the book and everything else I'm doing now is because I lost my purpose. I so bad wanted to be successful that when I got success, I didn't have any internal success. There was no, mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual success that I had. I wasn't meditating. I wasn't writing. I wasn't, connecting with who I was as a person, and I lost my purpose. And so eventually it all crumbled. Eventually, I started selling the businesses because I couldn't focus on them. I couldn't do anything. And then eventually I lost everything, and I was nearly homeless. And I just failed. You know what I mean? I had no car. I had no nothing to my name. You know what I mean? And that was kind of when I realized, I was empty inside, and I destroyed my internal self from all the partying and all the, just the abuse of everything that I had. And then eventually I lost everything outside as a result of that internal failure of not being successful inside. I lost everything on the outside, and I turned inward and went into meditation. So.
Yeah, and dude, I love you just being open and honest about this. And I've been there too, dude, where like I'm in my late 20s. I'm making more money than I ever fathomed, making $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a month. But I'm like, dude, I'm more miserable than I've ever been, and it's, but as you're building it, it's cool because as you're building it, that's your purpose. And then you kind of get there, you're like, okay, I've got the clothes, I got the house that I never thought I'd live in, I've got the girl, I got the cars, I got all this, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, like, boom, like then you become lost, dude. Like, what was that low moment, that turning point where you're like, holy shit, where you decided at that point to then turn to meditation or look to go out there and go deeper within yourself to find out your deeper purpose?
It was New Year's Eve of 2011, and I was at a party at a friend's house, and it had been like the years of partying at the club in Vegas and everything were all kind of blending together. But I just remember having this like awakening, this moment of clarity at that point where I was like, what am I doing? Like where is this going? And these people were fighting, and some girl got bit in the face by a dog, and there was just alcohol everywhere. And, everything you could want as far as like the women in the party scene goes. But I just, this moment of like, dude, what are you doing? And this is not what you got into business for. It's not what you wanted out of life. This is not why you work so hard as a kid to study business and success. And, it's not for the party, that wasn't what I wanted. And so, it was that New Year's Eve, the next day, I just started going into meditation. And, in 2012 was when I had the spiritual experience, and really everything shifted, from asking those questions and asking, my internal self, what do you really want? And, who you really are and all that kind of stuff, started from that month in January 2012.
What was the experience January 2012? Like what happened? What was the experience?
Dude, it was intense. I stayed in my room, and I asked myself, there was people in my house, and I locked myself in my room. I went into meditation, and I asked myself, like, what if I was the only one in this house? And I knew I wasn't, but what if I was? And then I was like, what if I'm the only one in the world? And at that point, my mind just kind of expanded, and I had this profound sense of like, it is just me. You know what I mean? Like there's 7 billion people here, but we're all just this one person, this one being experiencing 7 billion unique experiences. And when that happened, my heart cracked open, and I just felt this unconditional love pour out of me. And there's this oneness with everything, from the bed to every person I met. I mean, for the next 3 weeks, I just felt this unconditional love and oneness, and just walked around like this bliss, Buddha, enlightenment experience. And I didn't have any thoughts. I didn't have anything. It was just love. It was just total bliss and total oneness. And after that, everything changed. After that is when I really dove into meditation every night, and I was like, what is this? I've read books on people like mentioning things like this, but I never had experienced it. And so I just like, I'm like, there's way more to life than what I had been led to believe. And so I've been focusing on that ever since. So
I love it, dude. So, okay. So you have this evening, this moment, right? Where you become awake, if you will.
Yeah.
But at the same point, dude, you have your businesses that are gone. You got your cars taken away from you. You're essentially I'm getting to the point where you're about homeless. What keeps you going, dude? Because we hit those low moments so often, then people go back to their old patterns. What kept you motivated and going? Because it's almost, dude, it's like, okay, when you grew up with nothing, like that was the norm. Now the new norm was having a fuck ton of stuff and living this life. Now you went back to not having anything, but having these thoughts, these moments. Like, what kept driving you to go out there and rebuild it, but rebuild it in a way that was authentic to you?
Well, I had this moment, because you're right. Like, after you go from nothing to like everything you could want to nothing again, there's like a depression that sinks in. You know what I mean? There's like a thought of like, wow, I've tasted this glory. I've tasted all these, this attention and affection and income and, all these things that you want. And, for me, I went into that spiritual experience. I went into meditation, and I knew that I could rebuild the stuff and I could rebuild the things. I knew I had it in me mentally and emotionally. I knew I could rebuild those things. But I wanted something more. And so, I kind of lost that drive of like, I want to be somebody. And I went from like survival to significance. And I realized that like I wanted to make an impact on the world. I wanted to do something that was bigger than my one life. I wanted to leave a legacy that when people thought of me, knew of me, heard of me, read about me, it could change their life. And I knew that, like I had that moment of I'm going to die one day. You know what I mean? I'm getting older. I'm going to die. I had friends die from partying. I had friends die from motorcycle accidents. And it all kind of just hit me that like, I'm going to die one day and I want to leave every single person I meet better off than I found them. And that became my why. That became my reason. And if for anyone listening, if they don't have their why, I mean, this, if you have your why, your big why, you can do anything. And so even when I had nothing and I scraped by and I had to get, back to work and get back to everything, I had that big why, and that motivated me to rebuild everything, day after day, month after month, year after year, to finally get back to where I am now. I mean, I had to recreate that, but I had that reason why, and that was always in the back of my mind why I rebuilt everything.
Yeah, and I love that, dude. So, but real quick, speaking of the why, bro, so I coach and consult thousands of people a year that come through my real estate program,
right.
Which is one of my businesses, and so many people struggle. I mean, I get asked daily, like, Josh, I'm having a tough time finding my why. I found mine because I got to the point where I was planning on my suicide, and it scared the living shit out of me, and really woke me up. And at that point, I discovered my why. But a lot of people have had it pretty good. They've had it good enough, which good is the worst enemy to greatness, and they have a very difficult time finding that why. Like, what would be, because when people hear about your story, which is epic, dude, is profound. When people hear about your story and they ask you, like, Corey, dude, like, I don't know what my why is. How do I go find my why? Like, do you have any type of suggestions or advice for people to go out there and find their why? Because I agree with you. There's nothing more important. Life is tough. You're going to get knocked down. You got to focus on your why, your purpose. But a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what the fuck that is and how to find it.
Right. So I have, and part of what I've been helping clients with, and part of what I help, family and friends and everything, is the process I discovered for myself with purpose and whys is really trying to take away everything and everyone else in your life, right? Take away your family, take away your parents, take away your kids, take away your job, take away your identity, take away all the things that you think you're working for. And what do you want? Like, what do you really want for you? Like, if everyone in your life approved of you, if everyone in your life already said yes, like you just, whatever idea you had, they just said yes. Like, think of that. If you're the only person here and you don't need to impress your parents, you don't need to impress or take care of your kids. If your kids didn't need you, if your girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife, if they don't need you anymore and everyone is self-sufficient and you got 100% approval, what would you do for you? And so that's the first question I really ask people to find their why, because that's a why that's going to be for your own sake, not for doing it for someone else, but your why for you. That's the first step. The second step is discovering what your actual purpose is, what's going to give you meaning. And what I've discovered is that if you take a person, right, if I was talking to someone one-on-one and I was like, hey, what is the feeling that you want to give someone else? What is that thing that if you could snap your fingers and give your best friend or your client or your whoever, you could give them a feeling, a thought, and an experience, what would it be? And what I discovered is that whatever that thing is that you want to give to someone else, that your ultimate experience you want to translate to someone else, that's really what you want for you. That's really what you're craving for you. And so an example of that is I've always wanted freedom. I want to give people mental, emotional, and financial freedom. And I want that because as a kid, I was so poor and so stuck in my life that I wanted that freedom. And so that's what drives me every day, is to give people that freedom and try to reach out and make that difference. So if people can figure out, what it is they really want above all else, and then find a way to translate that into giving that to their clients and to their friends, their family, that's going to make them the most fulfilled and going to push them forward to really feel like they have that purpose and that why.
Yeah, I love it, man. I heard, I don't know who said it, but it was at one point of, hey, if you were guaranteed to not fail, what would you go out there and do with your life? If failure, you were guaranteed to succeed, what would you go do? And that's so massive, man. So I love it, dude. And and what I find with all these uber successful entrepreneurs that have on the podcast like yourself, dude, what they do in their drive is so much more about than just money or greed, like a lot of the world may perceive that of you, but it's usually so much deeper than that. So I really love it, dude. So, okay, man, so now you're on this journey. You're doing this. You're going down this path that you're going through. Now you just write a book, and that's how you and I met. I mean, I know you're the publisher of your book, and that's how we met and got introduced. So what then inspired you to write a book, dude? Because I hear it all the time from people like, oh, I want to write a book. Very few go out there and write a book. So what inspired you to do it? And then let's talk about the book, man. What's it about? Where can people get it? All that stuff.
So it was July of 2012, 6 months after the spiritual experience, and I had spent 6 months in meditation, and I had the idea while I was meditating that I should write this book, and at first it was like I had different names, different titles, different things, whatever, and then I just said, you know what, I'm just going to start writing and see what comes out, and I started writing and it was like, as I was writing, I was teaching myself. And so it was almost a healing process for me because realizing that I can't be a victim, you know what I mean? And I have to be a creator of my life and, all these taking responsibility and all these different things about my reaction and about my awareness of my subconscious programming and, all these things that I was discovering, I was writing down and it was teaching myself. So, it was therapeutic for me to really get this out. And as I would share with people, it would really make a difference for them. It would help them. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna package this up. I'm gonna really organize this and make this happen and just let this free flow come out and put this into an actual book. And it took 4 years to do it. It took I went here and I went there and I helped my friend with an insurance job. It took up a bunch of time and I was doing real estate and I was doing all these other things. But it was like every free moment I got, that success ritual in the morning. I got up, I watched some good videos, read a little bit in some good books, and I just wrote. And I would just write, a couple hundred words or 1,000 words or whatever, and just really get it out. And then it just, it kind of unfolded as time went on. And now I can write even faster. You know what I mean? But it's like, when you just got to get out and just start writing and let that flow come out, and it just will slowly evolve. And then what, for me, I think about the legacy I can leave. Like when I'm dead, the book's still here. You know what I mean? When I die, my kids, my grandkids, whoever else, they can read something that was inside me that's translated into words, and they can carry that with them. So it's kind of a piece of me I got to leave behind and make a difference even when I'm not alive. So
no, I love it, dude. And meditation is something that I personally do on a heavy level, about 40 minutes a day, and I truly believe it's been a game changer. And so many entrepreneurs, dude, they're living in the past or they're living in the future. Very few people live in the now, whether it's with our business or with our kids or with our spouses. And that's what meditation's done for me. Everybody has different experience, but I'm like, I'm very, very good now when I'm having a conversation with my kids. Like I'm there. Nothing else matters. Right. I can be there. I can be in the present. And I no longer have that internal guilt that so many parents have of, oh shit, when I'm at work, I feel guilty that I'm at home. When I'm at home, I feel guilty that I'm at work. I'm like, that doesn't exist, dude, because I'm able to focus on the now. So, dude, I love what you're doing. I love the book, bro. What's the name of the book? Where do people go to get the book? Where's the best place to go? Do you have a website? Is it Amazon? Because I want to really highly encourage all of our audience to go get the book right now. As you're watching this, don't wait, just go out there. The link's going to be below if you guys are watching this or listening to this right now, but go get the book, Meditation, massive game changer, dude. So, share that with us.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's you can go to Corey, Corey, Gladwell, Gladwell.com, and there's a link to get the book on there. It's called The Human Experience, and it's really a guide for meaningful worth and ultimate awareness and really just bringing the life back out of you. You know what I mean? Like you just said, we get so stuck in the past and we get so stuck in the future, and we have so much, this victimization and this happened to me and, the blame games. And there's so many little things that, we're almost programmed with society to feel and believe and act and react and everything. There's 9 chapters. There's about 100 different questions that I really ask the reader to ask themselves. You know what I mean? And write your answers down in the book. You know what I mean? Because it's not about me giving you information that you can just chew on and that kind of mental masturbation that you never really do anything with. It's like, I want you to actually have your own self-realization, your own self-actualization. Take that and live it in your life and have your own, new belief system, restructured for yourself. So.
Yep, that's badass, bro. So, all right, you guys, go check that out right now. Go click on the link below. Make sure you go get it. Go buy it right now. I can't stress enough. People are always like, well, Josh, what, we'll just speak to the real estate space. Like, I'm out there making 200 grand a year. What's the difference between that or the agent doing 7 figures or 7 figures plus a year? And it's these things like meditation, that might sound kooky. Like, I used to be like, dude, like, I remember when I was first introduced to Tim Ferriss. I'm like, oh, morning routines, meditation, man. I'm a businessman, not a goddamn hippie. I'm not going to focus on that. And then when I started focusing on it, dude, my life changed. So you guys go get it right now. It's absolutely critical. So all right, bro. So now on you personally, right? Like, is a driver, as a pusher, a very successful entrepreneur with yourself personally. What are some of the biggest obstacles? Some of those biggest. I hate the word failure because failure typically is becomes our best learning experience that truly define us as the entrepreneurs and the men that we are today. What were some of those with all your businesses, from the bar to the restaurant to the vodka to, doing the book, do your real estate company, with everything? What are some of those biggest failures and or biggest learning experiences that you've had to overcome? What were those? How did you overcome them? What did you learn from them?
So I think that the number one thing that I could pinpoint that caused a lot of my obstacles or failures or challenges or whatever, and that really has shifted to help me have the success I have now is emotional intelligence. As a kid full of testosterone, as a teenager, you know what I mean? I had no control over my emotions, whether it was anger or passion or lust or, whatever these things were that were bubbling up in me, you know what I mean? There was no emotional intelligence for myself. You know what I mean? I had no idea how to process and prioritize my emotions. And so that was a huge shift for me, because I think that is part of what contributed to, getting addicted to my emotions, getting addicted to chasing this thing or this person or this high or this whatever that I could never really quite catch. And really caused a lot of failures and obstacles in my life. And so I think being able to process my emotions, feel what I'm feeling and let it release it without having to hold on to it. And like you said, it sounds like hippie stuff and has nothing to do with business. But the second I did that, it was all of a sudden I could structure my day. I could get up 2 hours earlier. I could have a success ritual. I could not have to worry about not spending time with my family because I got the work done when I had to do it. And then I had time off with my family, because I wasn't caught up trying to chase things and chase feelings and having all those, those emotions. It was I could process logically my day and actually structure my time and have a system in place to grow and scale my business, because I wasn't letting emotions get in the way and dictate how my day was going to go. So that was a huge thing for me.
Yeah, love it, man. So, and I know I said this just a little bit ago, but I find with most entrepreneurs, and not just most entrepreneurs, but almost everybody in life, good becomes the worst enemy to greatness. It's so
absolutely
easy to get caught up in this, I'll do good enough. I'm doing good. Everybody around you oh, you're doing amazing, right? And it gets to this point where it's easy to get to settle, right? To get caught up as good enough, and we stop going out there growing, stop going for greatness. So what internally, dude, keeps you never settling for good enough, always leveling up and chasing greatness?
I think that's a great question. And I think that there's a huge, what stopped a lot of people, and I watch it in my own life all the time, the more I chase success and I chase improving and growing myself internally and growing my business and everything, is that comfort. And you have to have a death of comfort. Have a moment of grieving your comfort zone. You know what I mean? Write a letter to your comfort zone and just say goodbye to it, because success in the future of your business and your life is in the unknown. And what's going to happen is that your family, your friends, your girlfriend, your wife, husband, whatever, they're going to tell you good job. And they're going to want you to be okay with your $100,000 or $200,000 a year, your nice car, your nice house, and say you've made it. And they're going to applaud you for that. And they're going to encourage you to stay there, because the more you get uncomfortable and the more you grow, the more it makes everyone around you uncomfortable, because they feel like they should be doing something else. And so, you're going to have your closest peers and everyone kind of tell you to stay stuck and stay where you're at and that you're doing okay. And it doesn't mean you can't appreciate and be grateful for your life by any means. I think gratitude is the greatest form of receivership, and you can really get more from that. But at the same time, realize that even when everyone else around you doesn't necessarily see the vision and doesn't think you need to improve anymore, you have to let go of that comfort zone, let go of that approval seeking from everyone else, and really just go for it and get up every day, even when you have no evidence that anything's going to happen. I mean, without any evidence, just keep searching for that.
Yep, love it, man. So it's said in the business, not just the business world, but it's our parents told us this, right? With our friends, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Well, it's said in the business world that you are a result of 5 people you spend the most time with. If you hang out with 5 obese people, you'll be the 6th obese person. If you hang out with 5 broke people, you're the 6th broke person hang out with five
Right.
idiots. You're the sixth idiot. Do you believe that to hold true for your own personal life? And if so, what have you done to go out there and level up and reach up for friends that are at that next level to ensure that you're surrounding yourself with people at that next level?
I think that's very true. I think that's very true, and I think Jim Rohn, I think, was the one who even said that, and it's so on point. And so, like, I still love my friends, and I have some friends that are successful and some friends that aren't, and it's not like I like disown anyone in my life. But what I've done personally is get a mentor. You know what I mean? Like, get a coach, get a mentor, get someone who's not just like, gonna tell you good stuff, but who's done what you're doing. Like, find someone 10 years ahead of you or 5 years ahead of you, wherever you want to get to, and piggyback off them, whether it's, hiring them one-on-one or doing, reading their books or watching their series, whatever, but follow them and take those steps, because success will leave clues. The other thing I personally did is I joined a mastermind group, which was a expensive investment. You know what I mean? It was way beyond what I was comfortable spending for a yearly group of people to be around. But that was what I had to do. I had to get uncomfortable and invest that for myself and my business, because now I get to share, instead of just my mind trying to create things, I get to share it with other people that are doing, 5 or 10 times higher volume in success in life and business than I am. And I get to study them, and they get to give me information on how to get through those next steps. And so, really surround yourself with people like that. I completely agree. And you're going to have to invest, whether it's your time or your income. You're going to have to get uncomfortable and invest in yourself and invest in your growth, because honestly, like, that comfort zone is going to say don't do it, but that unknown, that success, is going to want you to do it, and you have to make that leap.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. But it's so weird, dude. It's like people have such a resistance. Like, they'll go out there and buy this motherfucker every day, right?
Yeah.
That after like a few days, that's more than your book. But they're like, oh, I don't want to fork out the $20 for this book, or
Right.
but I agree. I mean, everybody that I know that's super successful do invest, man, and I invest 6 figures plus a year in being coach and consultant to grow, and couldn't agree more, man. So I love it. So all right, man. So I know, outside of your own book that you've written, right? What are some of the most profound books? Like, if you could give, and I know this is such a tough question, but if you could give like your top 3 to 5 top books that have had the biggest profound impact on your life, whether it's business or not, right? What would those books be that you could go out there and recommend to our listeners?
Some top books, I think, spiritually, I think, if you're talking about being in the moment and everything like that, I think Eckhart Tolle was a great book, The Power of Now. That's a great book for really getting in the moment, realizing a lot of things spiritually. Business-wise, you mentioned Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week. I think, it's not necessarily the same structure for everyone, but for me, that was the life that's the life I've been creating, is that minimal work with the maximum output, you know what I mean? And really outsourcing and delegating and, building that kind of virtual business. And so, he's almost got like a to-do list at the end of each chapter in that book. So, you know what I mean? You can't, if you just follow the book, you can almost make it happen, So, those two were really, pivotal for me to like restructure how I wanted to spend my time and how I wanted to spend my experience with life and business.
Love it, man. So something happens, dude. You get wiped out. And I know you've been there a couple times in your life, but something happens like right now. I mean, dude, you're a young cat. You're 29 years old, right? Doing all this epic, amazing stuff, man, which is just insane. So I commend you on everything you've done, dude. It's like unheard of, bro. So, but okay, you lose everything, dude. But with everything that you know right now at this point, all the journeys that you've been through, like, you've retained all of your mindset, you retain your network, you've retained the connections, but you've lost everything financially. You wake up and you're flat broke right now. What are the first few things that you would immediately go do to go out there and rebuild this massive empire, if you will, that you built?
First thing I think I would do, honestly, I would get, like, if I could get $1,000, if I could find a way to get $1,000, I think I would build a membership site, and I would launch a webinar, and I would sell the membership for $1,000 a piece, and spend $600, running ads on Facebook, and that would be it. I'd build the course after the fact. You know what I mean? I'd launch in a week and sell it, and I'd build the course after. That's what I would do, and then just get paid to build an online course and kind of grow from there.
Yep. Awesome, man. So I know you do a lot of interviews like this, do a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews, and all different formats. Is there ever a question that when you're on interviews like this, right, that you wish people would ask you that they never ask you, that you feel is really important?
I think, I've been asked some pretty good questions, and I mean, your questions have been really, really spot on, a lot more than even some other ones I've done. But I think, the relationships and kind of the myth of work-life balance and all that, and lifestyle design, I think is something that I don't get asked a lot. You know what I mean? Like, how do you really design a life that you really want to live? Because like you mentioned about the suicide and, me and the spiritual experience and that depression of crashing, and a lot of people out there that are kind of just like fed up with living, you know what I mean? And it's like just hard, and that struggle actually is hard for them, but they want to get out of it. I think not a lot of people talk enough about like lifestyle design, how to build a life you don't want a vacation from, you know what I mean? Build a life that you don't need to escape from, and really design the life that you really want. And I think that's something that I always encourage people to think of more when they're trying to rebuild the business or rebuild themselves, is to build a life around what you really love the most.
So do you believe in balance? Is there such a thing? Like, check this out. So here's one of my hats, dude. No balance, dude.
Yes, I love it.
I'm like, it's work, it's life, like it's integration, right? I don't believe in balance. So let's go there, man, because that's something I'm really passionate about too. I mean, what are some suggestions for people because so many people they get caught up in this. They're so focused on work-life balance, adding this additional task to their life. Like, what does that look like for you, and what is that recommendation of that?
So for me personally, like I'm with you on that. I don't believe in balance. I don't believe in trying to segregate your life and separate your life. You know what I mean? Like, I try to integrate my family, my friends, my work, like everything together. And so, personally, like I get up early before everyone else does, you know what I mean, to do my success ritual, my morning routine. But I prep the day, and I prep myself for that greatness. And then you know what I mean, when the kids get up, it's like I cook them breakfast, you know what I mean, and get them all ready. But it's like, while I interact with them, I ask them questions to get their feedback for other books I want to write. You know what I mean? Because a child's perspective is like, just totally unfiltered in how they see the world. They're just miniature adults trying to make their way, you know what I mean? So like, integrate those things. Anything that I'm doing with a business idea, I run it by, my girlfriend or my parents, and like I have those conversations with them. I inspire my mom to create her own online course, and you know what I mean, find her thing. It's like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always trying to like evolve myself and my business through my family and friends, and not try to like separate them. Like, I can't talk to them about that, or I can't do that. Like, just bring it all together, and like, then you don't need to like go escape and like have to have this time or feel like you're not spending time with them or whatever. Just integrate everything together and teach your kids how to do what you're doing. Teach your parents how to do what you're doing. Like, just bring it all into one thing, so it's not like this separate thing.
Nah, I love it, man. I love it, dude. Shit, you're 29 years old, man. I'm so stoked to be connected with you and to know you, and can't wait to see where you take this in 30, 40 years. Like, so many people are like, oh, dude, I don't want to get older. Like, I'm so fucking stoked because I meet so many just epic dudes like you every day, where I'm like, I can't just wait to see where you guys take it, where I take it.
Right.
Life is a brilliant thing, man. So, I started this podcast, dude. It is, same reason that you wrote your book and do what you do, to go out there and give back. And there's so many people that don't know where to turn to. There's so much smoke and mirrors and theory and all this BS that is out there. I'm like, let me start this platform where I interview just the doers, dudes like yourself, that you're not on stage, you're not some quote unquote motivational speaker that that's selling smoke and mirrors. Like, you're a dude that's done it, that's in the trenches, and our listeners are watching this, right? Are listening to this or watching this right now, so they can go out there and create that epic life for themselves. So with that being said, do you have any last words of inspiration or motivation that you'd like to leave them with, so they can go out there and create their own epic life for themselves?
The number one thing I would leave everyone with is life in business is about results. And just think about that when you're creating your next business, or you're building your business, or you're building your life, whatever it is. It's about results. It's not about, like you just said, like the theory and the conceptual and the information, where you're just kind of being an information junkie and taking it in. Like, find your why, find your purpose, and get results for the people in your lives. Get results for your clients. Get concrete, tangible things for yourself and your life, and build that kind of life. Don't spend your whole life just thinking about things and planning things out, but like, go get some results. Go try and fail and mistake and just fumble, and you're going to learn, and you're going to know how to do it better. And then what's going to happen is you can go back and teach someone how to skip that failure and not have to have that failure. So just get out and do something and try, and just be about results. Be about doing. Don't be about thinking and like trying to like prep everything. Just go do something.
Yep. Love it, man. Love it. Powerful words. And to our listener base, I know in every podcast with this, which after Corey's ending words, that they go hand in hand. But information without implementation is started delusion. Information is not power. It's taking action on that information, implementing it to our worlds that creates power within our lives. So Corey shared so many just awesome pieces of information, so many gold nuggets with you guys. Take something that you learned today, go out there, take action on it right now. Don't wait. Go buy Corey's book right now, number one, and then take massive action on something he shared with you today so you can go out there and create power in your world. And Corey, dude, this has been a huge honor, man. You're straight up badass, a young hustler, man. This is so glad we got connected, dude. And I'm so glad we got you in the show, man. This has been a lot of fun, a huge honor, brother.
For sure, man. Thanks. I'm honored to be on.
All right, you guys. We will see you next time. Keep kicking ass.